Ooh, Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Okay. This is completely different than what I've ever done before. That's okay. Hello, everybody. So, first off, I've only broadcast live from YouTube and YouTube only from my phone. So, um, we this might I do apologize if all of a sudden I'm like trying to figure things out, but right now it seems to be working. So I can't pull up the messages, or can I? No, it doesn't let me pop up with the people. So hello Alex. Hello Dapper Vanta crew. Uh so at least that's popping up now. This is really weird. This is extremely weird for me. So if you guys have ever joined us in the past, what I usually use is a thing called StreamYard, and I think StreamYard may have been hacked because it's got a thing that pops up saying destination disconnect alert. We were currently investigating an issue where users may see unexpected warnings about disconnecting from one or more destinations, and it popped up, and I just ignored it, and then we went through and popped up. So it says you were good before. Nothing was showing up on mine at all. It showed we had no one watching. It showed nothing on my screen. So it might have been good on your side. On my side, it showed nothing was going on whatsoever. So yeah, this is kind of weird, but we're gonna try it out. So for those of you guys who are just joining us, we were having some technical difficulties with the StreamYard on my end. On your end, it seemed like it was fine, but on my end, absolutely nothing was going on. So now we are back. But tonight we're going to be going through and recapping this past weekend's Wine and Dine half marathon weekend. We're going to be talking about the characters. We're going to be talking about the, I'm hoping I can still show the character pictures, the merchandise and the routes. And of course, before we get to that, let's start the episode. We're going to start the 794th episode of the Wednesday Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 794th episode of The Wednesday Show. Today is November 6th, 2024, and I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today, we're going to be going through and talking all about this past weekend's Run Disney Wine and Dine Half Marathon. But, of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. First off, the whole screen is completely throwing me off right now. I'm looking at the camera, but I can see it below my eyes, and I'm like, what's going on? As always, thank you for everyone out there who's been joining us for our Saturday in the Park. If you didn't already know, every single Saturday we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. You never know where we're going to be broadcasting to you live from, but we will always be coming to you from someplace around Disney. I believe this Saturday I'm going to be going to Disney's Animal Kingdom because I've had so many people in town right now, and I love having so many people in town, but we haven't gone to Animal Kingdom in like over a week, and I'm like slowly dying inside. So I cannot wait to go back to Disney's Animal Kingdom because I was in full force writing this book, and now it's like come to a halt for the last week because I'm like, I haven't even been in Dinoland USA, and I think it probably misses me because I was the main staple. I was probably in Dinoland USA more than the actual cast members were. But as always, we will be coming to you live at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And on top of that, as we go through here tonight, if we get more subscribers as we go through, we will go into extra innings. Right now, the thing is at, 8,000. And 99 subscribers. Oh, this is on a different side than my usual one. 8,099 subscribers. If we can get up to 8,100, that'd be pretty cool. And it's very realistic. We only need one more person. So send a friend 3. Also, if you're watching this video, make sure to give the video a like as well because that will help boost it up in the algorithm. And that's a good thing for us. Okay. And of course, as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by our Patreon pals. The thing doesn't pop up right now because we're broadcasting from a different thing. But our Patreon pals, thank you, our Patreon pals. If you are one of our Patreon pals out there in the chat room right now, give us an oh yeah. And here comes the herds of Patreon pals. Okay, so tonight we're going to be going through and recapping a Run Disney event. Now, if you are new here or if you're newer here, you may not realize Brent Dodge's obsession with Run Disney. I started doing Run Disney back in 2007 was the first time I ever did one. I did the full marathon, and then the following year I did the Expedition Everest Challenge, and then the following year I did the Expedition Everest Challenge, and then the following year I did the Expedition Everest Challenge, and the following year I did the Expedition Everest Challenge, and the following year one of my friends got married on the day of the Expedition Everest Challenge, and my streak was ruined. However, over the course of the last almost 20 years, I have done so many Run Disney races. I am completely obsessed with Run Disney, and I am also completely broke because of Run Disney. But tonight we're going to be going through and talking about this past weekend's races. Now, if you guys have any questions while we go through here, make sure you throw those into the comments below. I will go through and answer as many questions as possible. Like I said, we are on a different broadcasting thing here, so I can have your questions pop up like I usually do. But I will be doing my best to pay attention to everything. First off, we do have a question that's non-related to the race weekend. What happened to People Mover today? Black Curtain covering it. I bet it's because of the incident that I was there for yesterday. There was someone who threw up on the turntable, and then the ride was down for a long time yesterday because they had to clean it up, and then they closed it down a little bit later to do more cleaning up. So I'm assuming that People Mover may have been down today specifically to really deep clean that entire conveyor belt because it was pretty disgusting. But it was the People Mover, so it was worth it. Okay, so let's get us started with the merchandise. First off, we'll talk about the expo. So if you guys don't know how the Run Disney weekend works, starting on Thursday, you can go through and you can go to an expo. At the expo, you pick up your bibs, you pick up your shirts, and you can also pick up some merchandise. Some of the merchandise, like this lovely hat right here. So when you go over there, there is going to be 3 separate buildings that you can actually go into to pick up the different things. The one area is specifically for bibs. They also have some characters there. Another one is for non-Disney merchandise, along with your shirts. And then the final one is going to be the location for Disney-owned merchandise. So when you get in there, the first thing I always do is I go pick up my bib. So let's take a look at our bibs here. So in order to do the different races, you have to do the 5K. Is going to be separate than the 10K and half if you're doing the challenge. So this week's 5K was themed around the Swedish Chef. It is food and wine, so every single one of them was themed around a different famous Disney chef. One of them being the Swedish Chef. We're going to go into a lot more detail about this race because there were some things in this race that blew my mind, and this may have been, it's in my top 5 favorite Run Disney races of all time. Like, no joke, of all time. So we got that bib, and we also got our perfect challenge one. See, if you look at the bottom here, it does say perfect challenge. Now, in order to do the challenge for this weekend is the 10K along with the half marathon. And in order to be perfect for these races, you have to do the races every single year since the very first year. So the first year ever for the Wine and Dine 2-course challenge, which is the name of this race weekend, it started in 2007. So I've done it every single year since 2007. If you skip a year, you can no longer be eligible for that perfect status. If you die, you also lose your perfect status. So if you miss one race ever on those things, or if you don't finish a race, you lose that status. So my goal in life is to forever continue that. And look, we got Minnie Mouse there with her little flapjack. I don't even know what she's flipping. What's she flipping there? Flipping something. All right. So we got that. Then we went over. We got our shirts. All of my shirts are currently dirty. They're all in the wash. So unfortunately, we have not had the opportunity to. We can't show them today. But I did buy 3 things of merchandise. I got this lovely hat, which is the Wine and Dine 2024 hat. We do have the 4 main characters there for the weekend. We got the Swedish Chef for the 5K, Tiana for the 10K, Remy for the half, and then Mickey. Was it Minnie in that picture? Mickey, because it's Mickey and Minnie's medal. for the 2-course challenge. And then on the back, it says cheers to 15 years because this was the 15-year anniversary of that. In addition to that, every single race season, the race season typically starts with Wine and Dine and goes all the way through the next calendar year until like April the following year. They do launch brand new merchandise specifically for Run Disney for that specific year. Some years the merchandise is amazing. Some years it's not that great. However, the color designs that they launched for this year is very Brent Dodge. It was funny because a lot of people I know, and also that I heard at the expo, said that the colors were very ugly. They're Brent Dodge colors. So I had to buy this one because it's got the yellow, the green, the blue, and then the Mickey there. And on the back it says Run Disney. I really like that one. And then it is very rare for me to buy any merchandise besides this. Sometimes I'll buy a tumbler. This is not one of the tumblers from this weekend. Or every now and then I'll buy a jacket, but it's usually about 4 to 5 years before I buy another jacket. And this year I bought the jacket. Let me get it here. So this one is a jacket with Mickey on the back. It is for the challenge. It's also a rain jacket, so I like that part of it too. The 2-course challenge, we got Mickey on the bottom, in the back, and then we get the 19.3 miles. And then on the other side, it says Wine and Dine 2-course challenge 2024. Okay, so it looks like we got a few questions that are coming in here. Let's do our questions real quick, and they'll continue going through. As always, if you guys have any questions out there, start throwing those questions into the comments, and we will answer as many questions as possible as we go through here. So we have, what is the secret to get into the 5K? If you are not on the Run Disney app a minute early, you will never get in. It's just that simple. So I have been able to get in. I've been very lucky. There has been one 5K and one 5K only that I've not gotten into in the last 5 years. And that was just because it filled up by the time I got through there. So for those of you guys who have never done the registration for Run Disney, it is a chaotic experience, like absolutely chaos. So you have to be on at 10 a.m. So I always get on at 9:50 at the latest. And when it swings over to 10 o'clock, it puts you into a randomized queue. Everyone that is there before 10 o'clock is randomly thrown together and they shake it up. And your order is just kind of assigned to you randomly. It is completely random on how the order is assigned. However, if you get onto that app at 10 o'clock and 1 second, you are now behind everyone that was in that app from 10 o'clock and 0 seconds and forward. So you need to be on there before that. However, when you go through there are going to be multiple different races that are going to pop up. And the way that they usually fill up is they usually do have it so the 5K does fill up first. And that's mainly due to the fact that it is the smallest event of the weekend. And if you've ever gone to the 5Ks, you're probably like, that's the smallest? Yes, that's the smallest. So the 5K usually holds about 75 to 8,000 people inside of it. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less, but they will always have it so it's about 7,500 to 8,000 people who are running those races. So yes, that sounds like it's a lot of people, but at the same time, you have to be aware that when you're getting onto this app to register, typically you've got anywhere between 20 to 50,000 people who are trying to get onto this website at the very same time, trying to register for not just the 5K, but the 10K, the half, and the challenge. And sometimes it's a marathon weekend, the marathon as well. So it is just chaotic, but it is one of those where how I do it is I sign on at 10 o'clock or earlier. Do not sign in at 10 o'clock and 1 second. Like I said, you will not get in. Like it's like a guarantee. If you are there a second too late, you will never get in. You have to sign in at least a few minutes early. And then when you are in there, what I always do is I always make sure that my Run Disney account, which is also your My Disney Experience account or your Cruise Line account or your Disney Plus account or what, all those things are linked together. When you are about to sign in, I always make sure I sign into my Run Disney account before I go into that queue, because it saves you a few seconds later on. Because even when you are through the queue and you're placed in the spot to actually start going through and registering for the race, that still does not guarantee you a spot. You are not guaranteed a spot until you've actually paid. So the other thing that a lot of people will mess up on is when they actually go through there and try to register in. Most of them, most people will go through and there's merchandise on there. They'll be like, "Oh, let me look at the merchandise," and they start looking at the merchandise. When they start looking at the merchandise, they have all these other people who are like me and like skip the merchandise and go straight to the end. And when they skip the merchandise and go straight to the registration page, they will beat you to it too. So you just have to focus solely on this is what I want to do and this is what I need to do and get through it. Is the next event sold out? Yes. So the next 2 events are sold out. There are still a few things for Springtime Surprise that keep on opening and closing, but it does keep on opening and closing. So it's kind of, as they say in Hunchback of Notre Dame, out there. Also, just complete side note while we're sitting here, we are still 1 subscriber away. So keep throwing people over here. We need one more person to 8,100. Okay, so let's get to our next question here. Was this the first time for the Muppet theme? Yes, and I loved it. Okay, growing up, I was a huge fan of Herbie the Love Bug, obviously. The Love Bug was one of my favorite Disney films. Another film that I absolutely loved was Candle Shoe, Snowball Express, and then the original Muppet movies, like the original, like the Muppet movie. Muppets Great, Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan. All 3 of those were just on all the time at my house. I just absolutely loved all of them. So when they announced that there was going to be a Muppet race, I was blown away. And we're going to talk about it in just a second here because it was an unbelievable theme. All right. Let's get to the 5K. Might as well just start this thing off here, right? Okay, so the 5K. Let me open up the My Disney Experience app. There is a little bit of a change that they did this year compared to what they've done in the past, and it's making me excited because it's kind of what they used to do way back in the day. But in the past few times that we've talked about the Run Disney races, we've talked a lot about how the course has ended by going backstage over by Test Track, and this time it switched it up, and it made me so insanely happy. Hey, Eric. Yeah, Facebook. We had a lot of technical difficulties when we started today, so we had to go to YouTube only today. There was a lot of technical. I want to put this out there too because last time I said it, people were like, "There was not." There was on my side. I couldn't see anything on my side, and so I had to get rid of the Facebook for this show and specifically do this one right here. Okay, so let's start us off. So we started off in the Epcot parking lot. As soon as there we go. We started in the Epcot parking lot. We ran around the parking lot until we went backstage. And we entered over here by Test Track. Now, like I said, we usually exit by Test Track, so this was a very exciting thing for us. We ran through this way, we ran down here, and then we ran all the way around World Showcase until eventually we ran on this path right here, which was also very exciting because we've never ran on that path before. Well, we have ran on that path. I take that back. But we've always ran this way. We've never ran this way. And then we continued going up here past the Imagination Pavilion, past the Seas Pavilion, that's the Land Pavilion, the Seas Pavilion, and then we ran up here around Spaceship Earth. And then we exited backstage until we finished in the parking lot where the finish line was. Now, along the way, like I said, this was a Muppet-themed race. Because it was a Muppet-themed race, we, had some Muppet characters out there, which we're going to be talking about in just a second here. In addition to those Muppet characters, everywhere you ran. Now, if you've never done one of these races, when you are running through Epcot, they pipe in different music. A lot of times it is around the movie that the race is themed around. Sometimes it's just like current, pop hits, everything from like the Beatles to the Beach Boys, just current hits. And well, that's the music I listen to. But when they're going through and doing all this stuff, it was just, to me, it was very, very exciting because we had a lot of Muppet songs playing, and it just put me into a Muppety mood the entire time, and it just made me really, really happy. Absolutely, extremely happy. Okay, so while we were going through the race, we met several different Disney characters. This was actually the end, but we might as well start at the end because here we are. Here we have Sweetums, the famous character from the one and only Muppet Show / Muppet movie / so many other things. He was at the finish line. So during the races, what they do is they have it so there's like this little pedestal there, and they'll have a character that's up there. In this instance, it was Sweetums. Along the course, we had this was over by Mexico. We had Donald Duck in his chef's outfit. We also had Duffy Bear. He was found over in the France pavilion. He's like waving. He's photobombing himself. We had him there. We had Chip and Dale in their chef outfits. Frank's actually in this picture. He's right over here. But I cut him out for Instagram purposes. It wouldn't let me fit all 4 of us in there. And I figured, well, it's either cutting Dale out of my life or Frank. And I think I chose wisely. These 2 were underneath Spaceship Earth. We also had Daisy. She was going to be our first character. She was found over at the Connections Cafe, not at the inside, but she was over that way. And now we're getting to the next race. So let's cut back there. So we had all of those 4 characters that were there celebrating with us. But in addition to those ones, we also had a few at the finish line. I did not have it on here because this was just pictures that I had uploaded specifically for my YouTube video. But at the start and the end of the races, you can also go through and you can meet different characters. So we went through and we met 4 additional characters. We met Remy from Ratatouille. We met Mickey and Minnie from Mickey and Minnie. We met the chickens. Now these chickens, okay, let's zoom in here. These are Muppet chickens. And when I say they are Muppet chickens, I mean they are legit Muppet chickens. And before we continue with that, we also met Tiana there. I do really like the fact that Tiana is in her Tiana's Bayou Adventure outfit there, which I thought was really fun. No, there's nothing wrong with the Beach Boys. Don't worry. I'm just saying what I listen to. I really listen to the Beach Boys and the other. Okay, so where's my video of the chickens, because I have a video of the chickens. They're just that's me just being rude and put my thing up. But they're sitting there. So if you look right here, you can see this thing of apples. So right before I started taking this video, and I was so mad I didn't start taking the video just a few seconds earlier, they hit those apples down on the ground, and the cast member who was working with them looked so irritated. But let's talk about the chickens for a second, and we're also going to talk about the start of the race for a second, because these 2 things were 2 of the most mind-blowing things of all time. Okay, so first off, at the start of the race, I was in Corral A, which we can see from the thing right there. I was the very first wave that went out. And this was one of the few times in my life where afterwards I was like, I kind of wish I was in the back of the race, because if I was in the back of the race, I would have spent more time in the corral enjoying the amazingness that happened right in front of me. So the amazingness that happened right in front of me is during the national anthem. I was like about 20 to 30 yards away from the stage. During the national anthem, they have it so there is a lady who's out there singing, and while she is singing, you can see about 4 different people start setting things up behind a table that's also on the stage, which is kind of weird because they usually don't do things like this, especially during the national anthem. During the national anthem, it's usually just like the national anthem. Everyone's just peaceful. And I was like, oh, okay, like something's going on that they're setting up for. Or there's some sort of technical difficulty and they're just fixing it. All of a sudden, out of the table to help launch the racers was none other than the Swedish chef. And while I was watching them set up, I looked at the one guy and I was like, I've seen this guy before and I don't know where he's from. And at this point, I had no idea the Swedish chef was showing up. And then I looked it up afterwards. This was the actual Muppeteer of the Swedish chef, like the current Muppeteer of the Swedish chef that works for the Muppet Company, the Jim Henson Company. This was the actual guy who was up there sending racers out. He was out there for an hour sending racers out at the start of the thing. He flew out from California specifically to perform as the Swedish chef at 5 o'clock in the morning for 1 hour for all of us Run Disney fans. In addition to that, as I started to talk to more people, it sounds like the chickens were also the actual Muppet performers of the chickens that were there. This is not the first time that Disney's ever done this. Disney actually did this quite a few years ago, about 10 years ago, actually. It was 10 years ago exactly. 10 years ago, they had a villains event over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and they had the longest line for Constantine, the evil Kermit the Frog from Muppets Most Wanted. And I waited for like 2 hours to meet Constantine because I was like, I don't know if I'll ever meet Constantine again. And while we were in line, we found out that it was the actual performer for Constantine that was there performing with us then too. So this was just one of the coolest things ever. And I talked to some people who were in later corrals, and they're like, the Swedish Chef was just hilarious. He just went on and on and on and on and on for an entire hour of just pure entertainment. And I really wish I would have stuck around a little bit longer to listen to the Swedish Chef a little bit more. But I personally loved it. This entire 5K was one of the coolest 5Ks. So at the end of the 5K, we did get our Swedish Chef medal there, the Wine and Dine 5K. Look at that. It's got the fish there. And then on the back of the medal, we also have the signature of the Swedish Chef as well. And then it actually says the Muppets. Isn't that cool? What a cool medal. I absolutely love this medal. Okay, so moving on to Saturday. Now for Saturday, again, we would start at the entrance to Epcot. Here, let's pull up our map again. But instead of going through Epcot, here, let's zoom out a little bit. We would actually go down World Drive here and then swing back and go across this bridge right here, enter backstage over by Figment, and then we would run along the entire boardwalk and then come back and run along World Showcase, around World Showcase, until we would go back up here and then once again exit through the front of the park to the finish line. This time around, I don't think we had Frank with us at all. I think it was just my friend Catherine and I. I'm pretty sure it was just my friend Catherine and I. Could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but we will see here in just a second as we go through the pictures. So we had it. So this one would be a Tiana theme. So there we have it. So there is Prince Naveen. Then we met Goofy. Oh, don't. There we go. Louis there. After King Louis, we've got Timon and Rafiki. These two are backstage of Epcot. These ones are actually in the order that we met the characters. Then we had Big Al. This building that is right back here, that is the backside of Soarin'. And then we had Eeyore. Okay, so for this one, we had it so we got in this line. This line was insanely long. It went almost all the way back to the bathrooms that are kind of near the Mickey and Friends meet and greet area. We were in this line forever, to the point where Catherine actually went to the bathroom while we were waiting in line because she had more than enough time. And Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore were there. And then about 5 people before we got to the front, Winnie the Pooh had to go find himself. AKA he had to find Pooh. He had to go to the bathroom. That's not what they told us. They just said he's got to go get some money. But Winnie the Pooh went backstage, and then the 4 groups that were ahead of us were like, oh, we're going to wait for Winnie the Pooh to come back. And Catherine and I are like, well, we just want to meet characters. Like, we don't care who the character is. We already waited this long, and we want to get along with the race. So we met Eeyore, and then we continued over between Canada and the UK pavilion. We had Jiminy Cricket there. And then we would run around Boardwalk, and that's where we would have the one and only Mickey Mouse. And now we're getting ahead of ourselves, so let's stop right there for the time being. Do we have, I think we might have met one character afterwards too. Don't quote me on that, but let me just look. Like I said earlier, the pictures that I have on there are the pictures from the races. We did have, Catherine and I did stop for a Spaceship Earth picture because we had not seen a character for a while that we had not seen the day before. So we did get that. Oh, we met Baloo the bear. We also met Emil. And I'll show you that picture in a second. I also met the 2 Walt Disney World ambassadors. Oh, there's one and there's the other at the finish line as well. So after going through all of that chaotic fun, we got our second medal of the week. And this one was the one and only Tiana with her beignets there. On the back side, we do have it so there is a lily pad. But if you also look behind her, you can see that there's a fork right here and a knife right here. And they actually spin around in a circle. What? Isn't that a cool medal too? I love it. I absolutely love it. And that brought us to the third and final race of the weekend. We're also going to talk a little bit about the party, but it's going to bring us to our third and final race of the weekend. Now, the third and final race of the weekend was a little bit different than what we are used to doing, because our main goal is usually to meet every single character and finish the race. However, one of my really good friends, Randy, she has been, I was going to say she's been a follower, but we were friends before she knew that I had all this stuff. Randy has been watching all of my Run Disney videos for years. And after almost every single Run Disney weekend, I get a text message or a phone call from her, and she says, someday I'm going to run a Run Disney race with you. And I said, do it. You should totally do it. Like, I would love for you to join me. And we never, it's been a few years now where she's like, someday I'm going to do this. Someday I'm going to do this. And then about a year ago, she said, okay, which Run Disney race weekend do you think I would like the best? And I said, honestly, I think Wine and Dine would be the perfect one for you, because one, it's a fun race, and two, you get the party afterwards. So it's, I think it's a pretty cool duo that you can have there. So she signed up, and my main goal for this weekend, or for this race, was I don't care how many characters. Actually, I was fully prepared to not meet a single character there. That changed, but I was fully prepared not to meet a single character during the race. My main goal was to get her across the finish line, because she's never ran a 5K or a 10K, and of course, not a half marathon either. So that was our main goal, and we succeeded. But let's do a little recap of the race course. We'll zoom out a little bit. Oh, no, we won't, because that's going to... Okay. So, once again, we started up at the Epcot parking lot. We ran down, and we would go up until a Mexico Pavilion, go around World Showcase until we get over behind the UK Pavilion. We would enter backstage and go over to the Boardwalk Resort. After going down the Boardwalk Resort, we would run along that long trail there until we went enter into Hollywood Studios. When we got into Hollywood Studios, we would run down Hollywood Boulevard, take a left at Echo Lake, go around Echo Lake, go through Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, through Toy Story Land, go down Mickey Avenue, which is no longer what it's called, but they don't really have a name for it anymore. Then go through the Hollywood Studios Arch, continue going down Hollywood Boulevard until you get to Sunset Boulevard, take a left and go down past Tower of Terror, go up towards Fantasmic, and then go behind Tower of Terror and enter backstage over here. And then we would run along this road right here and go all the way up here until we get here and go down, or I'm sorry, up, I guess, technically, up World Drive until we would loop back around to Epcot Center Drive, loop through the parking lot, enter on this ramp right here, go backstage over by Figment, go down the path here, go up towards Spaceship Earth, and then we go back behind Test Track, go backstage until we eventually got to the parking lot. So before we get to the pictures, because I know while we go through the pictures, some people will be wondering, because I just said, yes, we went through and we spent the entire, our main goal is to go through and spend the entire race together. What does this do? I'm just now curious. Oh, I can give a heart to myself. I can do a party thing. Does that pop up on anyone else's, or is it just mine? We never broadcast from this thing. So when we go through some of these pictures here, Randy's not in all the pictures, but my friend Catherine is she in everyone? I think she's in everyone. So this one, the three of us started off together. We were all in Corral D, as in Dodge, or Dine, as in Wine and Dine. So we were all in Corral D. We all started together. Our friend Frank started in Corral B. That's why he's not in any of these pictures. I had a few people who asked me about that, because I think they're just used to me running with Frank now. And we started in Corral D, and I told Randy we're going to go at her pace, because she's been training. She's trained to go up to 10 miles. She has not gone past 10 miles, which is a very normal thing. When they talk about training, they do usually have it so for a half marathon, the most miles you run is 10 miles. So while we were going through and doing the race, she said, well, I do the run walk thing. And the first probably half a mile, we were just trying to get past the crowd. There were so many people walking already. And Randy, I think the adrenaline took over and she wanted to have it so she got through quickly. And so we kind of started to go at a little bit faster pace than I think she was anticipating. And then also we were sitting in the corral for over an hour. And so she had to go to the bathroom. And she said, I have to go to the bathroom. I said, there's porta potties up here. And then Catherine saw Gaston. And Catherine said, oh, we need to meet Gaston. I said, okay, I'll meet Gaston with you. And then we'll have it so, by the time we finish, we should be at the same time as Randy coming out of the restroom. Randy, I'm sure Randy's gonna be so thrilled if she watches this and she's about we were talking about her going to a porta potty. But Catherine and I met Gaston, and then we passed the porta potty right when we saw her going in. So I continued to walk. Catherine said, I'm gonna run ahead and try to get to a bathroom that's inside the thing. There's a lot of bathroom talk. I eventually went to the bathroom too over at the Morocco Pavilion. That's completely besides the point. So we met Gaston here. He was outside on the road. And then the next character was Emile, who I had met the previous day in the post-race party area. But we would continue going up into Epcot. And when we went to Epcot, we would eventually start to meet more and more characters. Now I'm trying to draw a blank on the order of these characters. I know exactly the order now. Okay, so when we got to, is this where we are? I'm so confused right now. Now you're just seeing all the characters. Well, I know exactly. It was, so we got on the boardwalk and Frank was ahead of us. Frank was letting us know which characters were popping up next. So I said, you know what? I'm going to run ahead because I know where these guys are. I will get us in line. So we had Kloppen and Esmeralda, both from Hunchback of Notre Dame there. So I ran ahead. I got us a good spot in line, or a decent spot in line. And then the other two joined us. And then we continued to go through until eventually we would get, that's the previous day's race again. We would get into Disney's Hollywood Studios. When we went through Disney's Hollywood Studios, I think our next character was actually Bullseye, which is kind of crazy because he was over in Toy Story Land. And then after Bullseye, we had Lumiere. Yes. Okay. I completely on track. So when we got back out onto the streets, if you've ever done these races, it is a lot of streets after you get out of Hollywood Studios. It's like 6 miles of just roadway. So if you're someone like me who's done a lot of these races, it's pretty easy for you to just keep yourself motivated because you're like, I've done this before. I know what to do. Randy, however, is not used to that. She's never done one of these races before. So I don't think she fully knew what to expect. And so what we would do is, Catherine and I, we would run ahead to the characters. And we got to these two right here. This is Joy and Sadness from Inside Out and Inside Out 2, now available on Disney+. We ran ahead to these two characters. And when we were in line, Randy ran past us. And then we asked her, do you want to meet characters? And she said, no, I just need to keep on going. We said, that's fine. So while we were in lines, she would pass us, then we would pass her while going to the next character. We would check in on her and continue. And I knew she was going to be okay for the first 10 miles because she had trained for the first 10 miles. Her body knew that she could make it for the first 10 miles. So we continued going on. We met Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps from Zootopia. We met Bowler Hat Guy from Meet the Robinsons. We met Sebastian from The Little Mermaid. And then finally, we met Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather from Sleeping Beauty right around mile 10. So right around this time, we met those two, and things were going pretty well. Randy had just passed us. We figured that we could have a little bit of a catching up to do, but I figured my main goal, again, was to make sure that she crossed the finish line. So I said, whatever pace you want to go at, we're going to go at your pace. Like, that's just the main thing. So we were going. I think she started to realize that maybe this is a lot more. So it's one of those where I had to kind of go back in time, and I was like, I remember this feeling because my first marathon, after the amount of training I had done, and after I had passed the distance that I had traveled, and now every step I took was the furthest I've ever traveled, it starts to like weigh on you, and you're like, how on earth am I doing this? Is this almost done? And it was crazy, but it was so much fun to be there with someone who's never experienced it before, who's never done a 5K before, much less a half marathon before. And we went through, and and it was just one of the cool, like, it was just, it's such a cool experience because last time I had finished a race with someone who was their first race was years ago. So going back to this and having it so we were with someone who was crossing that finish line was a lot of fun. Actually, now that I think about it, we do have a video of us crossing the finish line. Um, Frank sent me. Well, it's Frank, so I might not be able to find it because he sends me like 500 text messages a day. That's not even an exaggeration. That's just a fact. Um, yeah, I'll never find this. Uh, yeah, it's not going to happen. Okay, so, but yeah, we crossed the finish line. She finished the race. I'm extremely proud of her. For those of you guys who are watching right now, if you just like type in there saying like, "Good job, Randy," because she might watch this later on, and then she'd be like, "Oh, people care." Um, okay, let's go through. We're going to start answering some questions. We're going to talk a little bit about the post race party as well. Before we get to that, let's show off the medals for this race, because at the end of this race, we got not just one medal. It says cheers to 15 years. That's Emil on one side. And then we got Remy on the other side. And then on the other side, there actually is it's got the Walt Disney World logo. So overall, really cool one. And then for doing the 10K and the half, we got this really cool medal. This is going to be the 2-course challenge medal. So you see we have Tiana and Remy there for the 10K and the half, and then you can actually switch it. So it says Wine and Dine 10K and Wine and Dine half marathon, which is really cool. And then, like I said earlier, because I have done every single one of the challenge races since its inauguration back in 2017, everyone got the blue ribbon, but I also got a red ribbon for being a perfect challenger. Does it say perfect on here? I think it does someplace. Yeah, there it is. So right there it says 19.3 miles. Perfect. Oh, yeah. I did ask the cast member at the end, too, because I'm just curious. I was like, how many people are still perfect on this thing? And she said it's either 409 or 418. She's not exactly positive on how many specifically. So one of those two things. Okay, let's start going to your questions, and then we'll talk a little bit about the post-race party. First question that I am seeing on here, it says, I just learned about Pacers. What a cool thing. Have you ever thought about being one? No, I will never. I have zero interest whatsoever on being a pacer. Number one, pacers will run through the I've seen them run through the water stations. I drink the water at every station. There are roughly, it's about every mile and a half to 2 miles, there is a water stop. During the 5K and 10K, there's either one or there's one for the 5K, there's 3 for the 10K, and then for the half, there is about 8 or 9. Never will I be a pacer because they'll just run right through. Because they're staying on that 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds. Number two, they don't meet characters. Why would I even do the races if I can't meet characters? They don't meet characters. They just keep on going. I would do it if it was like this, where it's someone who I know might need some help crossing the finish line because they've never done it before. Then yes, like that was just it was a really cool experience to be with a friend, one of my best friends. Her and I've been friends for 12 years now. So to be with her from start to finish was just a really cool experience. But no, I would never, zero interest whatsoever in being a pacer. Have you ever done the coast to coast? Yes, I have done the coast to coast Actually, I've done it twice this year. So I actually think, I think I've got one of the medals right over here. Maybe not. Oh, yeah. All right, Coast to Coast 2024. This is the one that we earned not that long ago. That's the one we earned in September. I also earned one in January. So the way that you can earn a coast to coast is you have to do either a half marathon or a full marathon on both coasts in the same calendar year. You can only earn one, but in reality, you can earn two. So one you can earn if you do the marathon weekend and then either one of the Disneyland races, then you earn one. Or you can earn, no. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. You can earn one medal, the one specific medal, which looks like a luggage, by doing the marathon and Disneyland in January. And that's the only way you can get that medal. Then the way that you can get this medal is by doing either the Disneyland race in January and then any other Walt Disney World one, or by doing any of the other Walt Disney World ones and the Disneyland race that was in September. And that's how you get this one right here. So those are the only two ways that you can actually earn those medals. And there's two that they do every single year. They just brought the Coast to Coast back this year for the first time in years. I specifically like the old medal better, but at the same time, I really enjoy it. Okay, keep on throwing those questions out there in the comments. We'll talk a little bit about the after party as well here. So for the after party, we got our handy dandy wristbands. Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend 2024. So you could start getting into the park at 5 o'clock. We got there like 6 o'clock. And up until 1 a.m., Epcot is open specifically for the Wine and Dine people. Up until 9 o'clock, the regular guests can be there as well. You get a handy dandy little map here. So what they do is there are several of the food booths for Wine and Dine are open there. So you can go around and eat as much food as possible. I am not a big food person. However, I ate a lot. I ate a whole lot that day. I ate the filet mignon. I ate a brat. I ate a pot sticker. I ate a gelato. And then before all that, I actually went to Portillo's and I had a Chicago-style hot dog, Italian beef, and a chocolate malt and onion rings. I ate a whole lot on Sunday. So in addition to that, they do have quite a few rides open. They've got Soarin', Spaceship Earth, Guardians of the Galaxy, Frozen Ever After, and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. Prior to all that, we did go on Soarin'. We went on Living with the Land, Finding Nemo, Figment, and then we headed up towards Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. We waited for like 45 minutes. By the time we got out, the fireworks were done. And we continued going around World Showcase. As we went around World Showcase, we ate a lot of food, and there was 5 of us there. So every time one of us was hungry, we'd stop and we'd get food for that person. So it took a while to go around World Showcase, but at the same time, it was a party, so it wasn't the end of the world. And then when we got over to the Norway Pavilion, we decided to go on Frozen Ever After. We waited in a line for about 30 to 40 minutes. When we were the next people to board, the ride broke down. So we didn't get a chance to actually go on the ride. So we went outside the ride and Olaf was there doing meet and greets. So we stopped by, we met Olaf, and then we continued on our way over towards more food until we eventually made our way to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And we went to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. It was about 11:47 at night, I want to say. And we waited for about 35 to 40 minutes. We got on the attraction, we got off the attraction, and then we were going to go again. But unfortunately, they closed down the line because the line was too long and they wanted cast members to go home. How selfish. We weren't mad. It was understandable. We were all tired too. So then we went over to the merchandise location where they had some exclusive merchandise. They had a jumbo pin that had this exact logo on it of the Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend. With all 4 characters there, and then the countries at the top. It was $40. I decided not to buy it because I don't know where I would put it. As you can see, my walls are pretty filled. So I decided to not get it, and then we kind of hung out in the gift shop for a while. We did some shopping, just regular day shopping. We got some Powerade, some much-needed Powerade, and then we headed out of the party. So overall, the party's always a lot of fun. The parties is exclusive to the Wine and Dine Half Marathon. I've talked to a lot of people who think that the party happens at the end of every single Run Disney race. That's not how it is. This race weekend actually started off as a night race. So it's been 15 years since they started doing it. The very first year that they did it, which was in 2010, I know what people are thinking now. Well, that's 14 years ago. That's 14 years ago. However, the first year, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Just the first year counts too. It's not an anniversary. It's how many times. So the first year through about the fifth year, I want to say maybe it was the sixth year. Maybe the first. It might have been the first 7 years. This was a night race, so it started at 10 p.m. and then you finished at Epcot, and then there was a party at Epcot. So the faster you were, the more you got a party at Epcot. Overall, I really liked when it was that. In addition to that, they would have a 5K that weekend too, but the 5K would actually be in the morning. So if you're crazy like me, you would say, oh, yeah, I'll do a 5K in the morning and then go back home and sleep a little bit and then go home or go off to the park and play a little bit and then maybe do a race and do a half marathon. A lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a night race. It was also kind of cool because if you were fast enough, and I was typically fast enough, that when you got to the park or when you get to the party, most things were a walk on. In addition to that, there were so many people who were so tired after the race, they would just say, you know what, I'm not going to go to the party. I'm just going to go home. So the party was not a massive thing back in the day. Now it's a massive thing because it's in the morning for the race. You can go home, you can rest. For instance, I went home, I edited the video for about 3 hours. Then I took about a 3 hour nap. Then we went and got food. And then we went to the party. So by the time you do all that, you have enough time to really rest up and really kind of take your time and enjoy your day. And because of that, the party's a little bit busier than what it used to be, but still, it's a great time. I absolutely love doing the party. We got Randy's husband in there too. You can actually buy tickets to the party as well. There were a few people there that I was listening to that had no connection to the race whatsoever. They just wanted to go to the party because they figured, oh yeah, it's an exclusive event. And then the one guy was actually complaining to his wife about how there's too many runners there. I'm like, dude, you're at the Run Disney party. Like, don't get upset about how many runners there are here. All right, let's keep on going through your questions. If anyone out there has any questions about anything with this weekend, let me know. I'm going to get a drink here because I've been talking a lot. Okay. I saw Hulk Hogan on Sunday at Epcot. That's pretty cool. How many No Way Jose's? We had one No Way Jose on. Our tradition is during the day of bid pickup, we always do a No Way Jose. That's our tradition. So on Thursday, I picked Randy and Keith up at Disney Springs. We met at Disney Springs for lunch. They had just flown in. We went over. We picked up our bibs. And then I dropped them off at their hotel to drop their bibs off. And then I met up with Frank over at Beaches and Cream for No Way Jose. My mouth is so dry right now. Okay. Any other questions up there? Let's also take while you guys write questions, let's take a look at our subscriber count, see if we're at 8,100 or not. What is this? 8,098. We lost one subscriber. Come on. If you're one of those people who's watching right now, you're not subscribed, subscribe. We're only 2 away right now. Oh, yeah. Oh, not yet. I hit them there. I'm not used to these controls. Okay, let's go through and answer more questions here. What's your average hours of sleep during the race weekends? Oh, not a lot. So to give you a little idea, that's a really good question. So Thursday night after the bid pickup, after our No Way Jose's, we went over to Disney's Hollywood Studios for a while. That was Halloween day itself. We were coming back. Frank and I had parked at Beaches of Green. And when we went through, hey, Yaya. Before we continue here, Yaya, everyone say thank you, Yaya, because Yaya was actually one of the people handing out drinks at mile 6 during the half marathon. So I've known Yaya for a while, like 7 years, 8 years. I don't even know. We used to work together. And so I was really excited to see Yaya on the course. I gave her a big hug. But anyways, so that night, this is a really good question. Now I'm just trying to figure out. We were walking back to Beaches and Cream, and on Crescent Lake, the area that goes around by Yacht Club, Beach Club, and Boardwalk, they were doing trick or treating. And so we went over, and actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to pull up that video that you did too. Now that I think about it, we went over and did trick or treating because we're like, oh, there's trick or treating going on. So we did a whole loop to do trick or treating, which was a lot of fun. But at the same time, we did not get the most sleep that we probably could do. Okay, let's get to there's yeah. Okay, so
I see your friend. I can do it. Perfect, Dad. What? Yeah, you're doing so good.
It's yeah. So yeah. During this, what was I going to say? Oh, so when I was going up to yeah, then now we're getting away from the question again. But I'll get to the question again in just a second. This is fresh in my mind. When I was walking to yeah, I always, whenever I used to greet yeah, I used to always go yeah, like poker face, and I started going yeah, and the lady who is the person before her doing the handing out the water, like, and she's like yeah, and I'm like, no, you don't understand what's going on here. Yes, yeah, get a very stinky hug from me. But anyways, when we go through, so okay, I'm sorry. So we did trick or treating. We went back. I slept for maybe an hour and a half that night, the night of the 5K. After the 5K finished, I came back here. I edited for about 2 hours until I finished the video. I uploaded the video, then I promoted the video, and then I went back and I took, or no, I was still here, but I slept for about 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. We went to Epcot Magic Kingdom. We went to Magic Kingdom that day. We had Tiana's at like 7:30. Finished that. Got home around like 8:30, 8:45. I tried to go to sleep. I couldn't go to sleep. And then I finally started to doze off. I probably got like that might have been the night I got like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. So went to the 10K, ran the 10K, came home, edited for 2 to 3 hours for the video, and then promoted the video. Then I went to sleep for about 3 hours, woke up, went to Epcot. After Epcot, I came home. I was trying to fall asleep. I couldn't fall asleep. So then the Wisconsin Badgers were playing on TV at that time. So I turned the game on, and then that was just awful. And then I continued to watch the game, but I was like dozing off. And then I laid down, and it was like an hour of laying down, and then your mind starts playing games on you. Like, well, if I go to sleep right now, it's only 4 hours of sleep. And then it's like, oh, well, if I go now, it's 3.5 hours of sleep. And oh my gosh, what if I don't? So I think that night I only got like 2 hours of sleep. Came home, came home, edited, and that was a long editing one. I was here till 11:15, I think it was when that video went live. And then got about a 3 to 4 hour nap. And then after the 3 to 4 hour nap, we went to the park, went to the party. And then that day, a few of my friends were going to be leaving the next day. So I was like, oh, it's my last time with my friends. So I slept for about 7-8 hours and then, continued on. So it was not a lot of sleep. I'm still catching up on sleep. Last night I got 8 hours, which was really good. And then when I woke up this morning, I really did nothing for about 4 hours. I was like a zombie. I watched TV. I relaxed. It was really nice. But yeah. Okay, let's continue. We have a few more questions out there. If you guys have a question, throw the questions out there. You guys are getting extra innings, even though we have not gone up any subscribers. But if you want to subscribe and you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And if you've not liked that video yet, make sure you like that video because not all of you have. I know that one for a fact. Okay, if you could add 3 characters that you've never seen to a race, who would you want to see? Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Well, I have seen Huey, Dewey, and Louie during the Disneyland race in January. I got in their line, and by the time I got to the front, they switched out for Scrooge McDuck. And Scrooge McDuck is my favorite character, but I really want to meet Huey, Dewey, and Louie because Huey, Dewey, and Louie are the three characters that I love them so much, and I've never met them. I've always wanted to meet them, and unfortunately, I just did not get a chance to meet them. So yeah, Huey, Dewey, and Louie are like the three that I would love to meet. In addition to that, Bernard and Bianca. I've met Bernard. I've not met Bianca. They were switching out last time that they were out. So I was able to see Bernard, but I've never seen Bianca out there. And I would love to see Bianca from the Rescuers. If you've not been able to tell, we've got a Rescuers corner up at the top there. And then if I could choose a third one, and I'm trying to think of a character that I've never seen before that I've always wanted to see. Like I've seen Dumbo, but I've never met Dumbo. So maybe Dumbo. Let's say Dumbo. Because I was also thinking Professor Ludwig von Drake, but I've met him before. It's been a long time, but I've met him before. So yeah. Okay, any other questions out there? What was in the box? You mean like the blue box that they give you afterwards? So the blue box comes with chips and cheese and nuts and a bunch of other things like that. Did you meet him during Limited Time Magic Ludwig? Yes, that's exactly when I met him. The Limited Time Magic, which was 2014, right? Yeah, 2014 was Limited Time Magic. I met Professor Ludwig von Drake. But yeah, it comes. So when you exit the race, they give you a few different things when you finish. If it's hot out, they'll give you like a cooling towel that's completely wet, so you can just like start cooling yourself off right away. If it is hot, they give you a hot chocolate. No, they don't. That'd be really funny though. No, then they give you a thermal blanket to try to keep yourself warm. And then they give you water and they give you Powerade. And then in addition to those two, you also get a snack box, and that snack box will have every weekend's a little bit different. Sometimes you'll have really cool things like Oreos, and other times you'll have really boring things like nuts. So yeah, a little bit of racers were holding those boxes like it was gold all weekend. Yes, we do. Those snack boxes are unbelievable. Like they are really unbelievable, especially when you finish and you just want something salty. It's like, oh, it's so good. It is so good. But yeah, those blue boxes, they will have different snacks in them, and they are complimentary. I mean, you have to pay, $300 for the race, but it's still complimentary to get it. Okay, it looks like we don't have any other questions out there for tonight. Maybe I'm missing one. You're not getting at least 2 No Heroes Days a week. I lost the respect for you. The worst part was the other day. So on what day was that? Monday. Monday. It's been such a crazy week. I'm like losing track of days. On Monday, Randy and Keith left. So I met up with them for dinner at Epcot at Connections Cafe. And then we walked around World Showcase. I went over to the Skyliner with them. I said goodbye there. And then they even joked, they said, maybe you should go get a Noe Jose. But it was half an hour before the park closed. And I was like, if I go over there and get a Noe Jose, I won't be able to get back into Epcot. And if I can't get back to Epcot, I can't get to my car. And then I'm going to have to like pay for an Uber. And I don't want to do that. So I was like, as much as I would like to, I'm going to go back through the park. And I got to the park, got in the car, came home. And when I got home, Frank wrote to me, and he is now at an IT convention in Orlando for the week. And he's like, hey, the guy that he works with just got in. He goes, I'm bringing him to get a No Way Jose. And I was like, I just threw my laundry in. No. So I was just wearing pants that are like the elastic's broken. It's just literally my pants to do laundry. And I was like, as much as I would love to go get another No Way Jose, I just can't. So that was probably too much information, but that's okay. Okay, so we're going to wrap up this bad boy right here. As always, thank you to our Patreon pals tonight for being our sponsors. If you're one of our Patreon pals out there in the chat room right now, give us an oh yeah. Also, thank you everyone out there for joining us once again this week. As always, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe. Keep on spreading the word about the Wednesday show and From Screen to Theme, and of course the YouTube channel. Anywhere and everywhere, send all of your friends, all of your loved ones over here to subscribe as well, because right now we are still, what are we at? Let's do one last check here before we wrap up. We are still currently 2 subscribers away from 8,100. So send your friends so we can hit before midnight. They've got exactly 81 minutes to pull off this miracle for us. So, as always, if you're not subscribed, thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you guys had a great night tonight with me. I had a great time with you too. Until next time, have a great week, everybody. And remember that anything can happen if you let it. Have a great week, guys. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Bye-bye now. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I just can't stand this kind of pressure.